Good morning. I'm Reb Myron. I'm a minister through Pathways of Light, and I've been a Course in Miracles student for 40 years. I'm going through the lessons again this year as I've done in the past, and I'm asking Jesus for clarity, and then I'm writing from that clarity, and that's what I'm sharing with you today. So let's get started. Jesus asked us to read uh, our special theme before each lesson, and that theme for this section is what is sin. So you may want to do that. Okay, lesson 255. This day I choose to spend in perfect peace. It does not seem to me that I can choose to have but peace today, and yet my God assures me that his Son is like himself. Let me this day have faith in him who says, I am God's Son. And let the peace I choose be mine today bear witness to the truth of what he says. God's Son can have no cares and must remain forever in the peace of heaven. In his name I give today to finding what my Father wills for me, accepting it as mine, and giving it to all my Father's sons along with me. And so, my Father, would I pass this day with you. Your Son has not forgotten you. The peace you gave him still is in my mind, and it is there I choose to spend today. What a way to start the day, right? In my mind, there is a version of the day in which I choose perfect peace. I choose that one to view today. I want to say something about that before I go on. There is in our mind the ego version of our life. But there was a correction of that version by the Holy Spirit. Jesus says that we had a tiny mad idea, and we saw that unfold, and it was corrected in the same moment. And so within our mind, there is the corrected version of our life. There is a version of the day in which we choose perfect peace. And we can choose that one to view today. Okay. I had a strange dream last night, and I think I had a dream hangover from it. I wasn't feeling any emotion in particular, but I wasn't in perfect peace either. Reading this lesson snapped me out of the fog of ego confusion. It was like a light came on in a dark room. God's Son can have no cares and must remain forever in the peace of heaven. I've been practicing forgiveness of the body, the world, and all untrue thoughts for a long time, but with an emphasis lately on watching them disappear. If I feel a headache coming on, I forgive it and watch it disappear. If I think I need to lose weight, I forgive that idea and watch it disappear. If I think someone is guilty of anything, I forgive that idea and watch it disappear. I know that there is nothing outside me that the body's eyes don't show me anything and that the body's eyes don't show me anything that exists. I'm forgiving it all. I'm watching it disappear as a reality for me. What I will be left with is myself as God created me. I feel a shift. I guess it is a result of what I have left behind. It feels like love and happiness. It feels like serenity. I wonder if it's permanent. We shall see. On reflection, I question those last two sentences. Why do I wonder if it will be permanent? It's because sometimes a shift wasn't permanent in the past. I am reimagining a past experience. So I'm asking for the same result again. Thank you, Holy Spirit, for pointing this out. I don't want to keep living in the past and the future and completely overlook the only real moment, the present moment. I choose to live in that eternal moment. I used to have many untrue thoughts every day, but not now. Typically, I only have a few times during the day when I'm aware of ego peace-stealing thoughts. For the most part, I turn away from those thoughts as untrue and unimportant. When they do attract my attention enough to be a problem, I have a solution. 3 reparative thoughts help me when this happens. Any one of them will get me back to peace fairly quickly. Here are some quick and easy ways to return to peace. If my mind were perfectly healed, nothing would bother me, not even this. This sentence reminds me that the problem, whatever it is not an obstacle unless I choose to let it be so. And from there, I can question the premise on which I base this upset. I am always upset because of a belief in my mind. I never question or doubt that this is true. It is never about the other person or the circumstances. It's always about a thought in my mind. The person or the situation might trigger the problem, but it could not trigger it if it were not already there. The only thing that is happening here is that I ask the ego what this situation means. This one really clears my head. It is often the most helpful because it directly leads to correction. From this recognition, I can cancel out my judgment and ask the Holy Spirit what the situation means and what to do about it. This nearly always leads to peace, and generally very quickly. I have few interruptions in my peace now because I believe those 3 statements and practice them diligently. I've discovered for myself that peace is in my mind all the time. All I have to do is let go of what blocks it from my awareness. This day I will spend with my Father, and should anything distract me from my decision, I will simply choose again. There was a lot of ego resistance in the past, and I had to practice diligently. Jesus is telling me that no matter what is happening to me right now, I can be at peace. When everything is going well, this is easy to believe, and I do believe it. When everything starts falling apart, I still believe it, but sometimes can't figure out how to do it. I woke up with a worried thought, and so what a blessing this lesson is to me. I don't know how to be at peace today, Holy Spirit, but you know how to teach me this. I'm ready to learn. The interesting thing about what I just thought of and wrote here is that the moment I typed it out, the mind resisted, like a dog pulling back on its leash. The ego mind wants the drama of the day, not the peace of God. The ego thought in my mind is that the world is a scary place and there is no end to what can go wrong. Listen to this long enough and death seems to be a solution. This is the ego's ultimate goal. But the ego is not me. It is just a thought system made by me for a very particular purpose. And now I'm through with it. I hold to my prayer. I don't know how to be at peace today, Holy Spirit, but you know how to teach me this. I am ready to learn. Here's an entry in a past journal when I was learning to deny the denial of truth. The other night I did not sleep well and I didn't get my full 7 hours. I knew I was going to be doing things until well into the evening, so I had the thought that I was going to be tired and not enjoy myself, even that I would not do a good job today because of it. Then I remembered that I do not have to accept this interpretation of how things are. This is a meaning I had given this situation and I could change my mind. I had a choice. So I offered the day to the Holy Spirit. I was willing to be wrong, Just because I had decided that 7 hours of sleep is optimal for me and that less has consequences doesn't mean that it is the truth. It may seem to be true for me as long as I choose that belief, but that's not the same thing as truth. This situation is a perfect example of how I often deny God's peace. I was not at that moment tired, but I anticipated being tired. I didn't have anything to worry about at that moment, so I borrow from a non-existent future. It helped me see how determined I am to be what I was not created to be, small, vulnerable, and at the mercy of every little thing in the universe. What a sad little caricature of God's glorious creation I have made. No wonder I'm filled with unconscious guilt. The good news is the prayer that followed these thoughts. I do not have to keep the meaning I gave this situation. I have the Holy Spirit within my mind, simply waiting for me to ask for a new interpretation so that He can give it to me. Next, I noticed that the body was experiencing symptoms of lack of sleep despite my prayer. I had a headache, felt groggy and heavy, and my heart fluttered. At one time, I would have accepted this as proof that lack of sleep is a cause of these things, and there's nothing I can do about it. It's a fact. Now I accept it as proof that the ego part of the mind wants to be right and wants to prove that it is wrong to think there is another way to believe. I am reminded that I first have the thought and the experience follows. My thoughts are not the effect of the experience. The experience is the effect of thoughts. Now I'm going to repeat that because it's so important. My thoughts are not the effect of the experience. The experience is the effect of the thoughts. So always thought comes first, then the experience. Only an ego sleight of hand makes me think I am having an experience and then thinking about it. I stand with the Holy Spirit on this and wait for my body to catch up with the new program. I look forward to a day of mind watching. I will spend all day long practicing what I have come to call catch and release thinking. I catch myself thinking untrue thoughts, then I release them to the Holy Spirit. Like an avid fisherman who doesn't eat fish, I'm excited to be fishing and happy not to keep what I catch. Each time I notice that I'm choosing to follow the ego rather than Holy Spirit and change my mind, I'm bringing myself closer to the time when I spend my day in perfect peace. I choose to believe Jesus when He says this is possible. Now I just need to do my part to clear the way for it. Well, thank you so much for joining me in the lesson today. If you found it helpful, then please like it. And if you haven't yet, please subscribe. And thank you to everyone who comes here every day to join me in these wonderful lessons. I'll be back tomorrow with another lesson.